going to show you the custom center consoles that I've been making, as of recently. When I did my 1-year review video, a bunch of people reached out, and you guys saw some of the custom work on my channel for the last 7 months or so. And to be honest with you, it is so time consuming, so labor intensive that I've kind of turned a hell of a lot of people away because it's just, I don't have the time to do some of this stuff. But, I had a couple of persistent customers that insisted and pushed, and we kind of, made a deal for the money and all of that, and it just made a little bit of sense for me to pursue it. So this is the console for GT350. This is a full-blown console covered in real Alcantara. This is not the fake stuff. This is not the cheap stuff that's on the center of the seats. So the entire console is made out of like an ABS injected molded plastic with a texture. All of that texture has to get sanded. It's got to get prepped. It's got to have an adhesion promoter applied. It has to have plastic etch applied. It is a substantial amount of effort to do something like this. Well over 10 hours of labor. The material is astronomically priced. You cannot buy it in the United States anymore. And it's just one of those things that if you really want it, I'll do it for you. Reach out to me. But I just wanted to show you and shoot a quick video of one of the full ones that I just finished for a good client of mine down in Austin. Randy, thanks for pushing me to do the rest of it for you. I didn't even do the full bottom base on my car and the wraparound just because it was so time consuming just to do the top section that I just became frustrated, and then the lack of material, lack of time, it just drove me nuts not to want to do them ever again. So just to show you guys, this is hard plastic. So with upholstery, a lot of times you could do a thin foam underneath, wrap it, stretch it, staple it. When you're doing automotive panel work, you cannot do that on something like this because of the tight tolerances between the two panels, how they snap together. So you cannot apply foam. Now, all of these little recesses in here and all the little curves and undercuts make it extremely challenging. And I'm going to show you guys in another clip of the video on how this material does not stretch compared to vinyl and different grades of leather. So you guys are going to find that a little interesting. So another thing too is you only have one shot doing this. When you apply the Alcantara to the substrate, and if you make a mistake and you have to pull it back, the glue is going to ball up into hard balls, and if you go to reapply it, you're going to have lumps, being that there's no foam. Now, if there was foam, it hides a lot, okay? But when you're working like this, you can't have any gouges in the plastic, any high spots, any lumps of glue. It has to be perfect. So when you sand this down, you have to sand it consistently. It's got to be done perfect. It's funny, about 4 or 5 months ago, I had a subscriber reach out to me. He's like, hey, can you sell me some Alcantara? I want to try to do the top of the console like you did. So I sold it to him. And about 10 days later, he sends me an email. He says, that was the stupidest mistake of my life, thinking that I was able to do something like this. He absolutely ruined it. Because when the material bunches up and it glues itself together, you can't undo it the way you can on certain leathers. So that just poses, you're working with a very expensive material. You have a very limited working time. I'm absolutely shot today from doing this. I actually canceled all of my meetings today and tomorrow because I have a trade show in New York City this weekend. So I have to be on my A game for that. This just kicks your ass between the stretching, smelling the glue and the fumes for hours upon hours, where it irritates your eyes, your lungs, your central nervous system. It's totally not easy, but the gratification I get, at the end result, it makes it worth it. I love, doing this stuff for clients that appreciate the hand craftsmanship and my talent and my skill that I've applied to something like this. And it's like a piece of art. A lot of times, like, you could be a retailer, you could wholesale and retail products, but when you physically design and construct and craft something, you pour your passion really into it. And that's really how I do almost everything in my life, for clients of mine. And that's why, I'm very successful at what I do. But it's almost like you hate to give it away, So I'm shooting this video. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I have to box this thing up before work and get this out to the client in Austin. But I wanted to shoot this video and just show you a little bit about what I did here. And I'm going to take the camera off the fixed tripod, and I'm going to walk around and I'm going to give you a little bit more detail. All right, guys, got the camera in my hand. I just want to show you the center armrest and what I did here. So the factory center armrest is vinyl, and it has a double French stitch going down the middle. The car's interior doesn't really indicate the double French stitch, so it was kind of like an afterthought. And you know, being a designer and coming from this type of a world, having a double French stitch in the middle of a panel doesn't make sense because it doesn't meet up to any stitching on this panel or any adjacent panel. It just looked awful. I think they were trying to blend that in with the simulated double stitch on the two eyebrows of the dash and on the lower center stack, but it just doesn't look good, especially when you mount it up, you know, to the seats. So you'll see the photos of my car, and you can see how the single top stitch complements the single top stitch on the Recaro seats. Also, you guys can see here the way this is done. This is done in several pieces because in order to get the consistency of the stitch, you have to sew a layer here and another layer on the other side, and you have to stretch it and staple it, and it is extremely time consuming. So I'll show you here, like even the panel in here is all covered. All of this is covered, including the recess, and it's perfect, okay? And you guys can see the rear wraparound, and you can see the tight tolerances between the panels, and if you don't do the job right, these panels are not going to fit together anymore. The hardest part of doing the top stack is the e-brake section here. It's just an absolute disaster, and wait till I show you guys in the next clip of the video on how the material does not lend itself to stretching and going around radiuses. This material is really made for panels, flat panels, with very, very little undercuts and radiuses like that. Now, the gap you're seeing here is because this is not installed in the car yet, and this has to be bolted in. But you can see this is all stripped down, ground down the plastic, has to be prepped all the way through, and it just fits perfect, even down to the front leading edge. Now we'll move over to the other side, and you guys could see here all of the little recesses, everything, and it's perfectly smooth, no lumps, no wrinkles. Everything is going to fit back together in the car like OEM, except it's going to look a hell of a lot better. Now, another challenging part is around the cup holders, because as the material lays down, you're trying to fight the material in 4 different directions so it doesn't bunch up, and then you still have to slice it and stretch it inside a compounded radius here and here. Very, very difficult. Same thing over here. Very, very difficult. And that's why, guys, like I said, this is expensive. You know, the material alone is about $300, and it's a hell of a lot of labor. And what a lot of guys are doing, and I'm recommending, is go on eBay and buy a used center console and ship it over to me. And like I said, give me a couple of weeks and I'll work on it. And as the material comes in from Italy, I'm ordering them in spurts depending on the workload. And so far I have 6 of these to do. This one's finished and getting shipped out today. The other one's going to get finished over the weekend and get shipped out next week. But you could see it came out outstanding. I am absolutely exhausted from fighting material and sniffing glue all day. I barely slept last night, but you know, like I said, it's the passion that I have for doing this stuff and bringing it out and offering it to car enthusiasts that really, really appreciate it. They appreciate the craft. You know, it is, yeah, granted, it is a Ford Mustang. It's not a Ferrari or an exotic car, but coming from that background of exotic cars and reskinning interiors and all of that good stuff, you know, this upgrade makes a substantial difference to the interior of this car. Substantial difference. Like I mentioned in a lot of my videos, you know, the cheap plastic just doesn't lend itself to anything nice. Also, I sound dampen all of the hard plastic. So listen, you could hear it all the way through. This area you can't get to up here the way it's molded, but you could hear the difference. Okay? And this is another thing that I'm doing for you guys, just because it adds to the quality of the job. And when you're in the interior of the car, it's those little details that count. And I'm all about details. I'm an extremely detail-oriented lunatic. And everything I do is to the highest level for perfection. And I like passing this stuff on to you guys. So if you guys want me to do it, and you're patient, and you know you're willing to spend the money, because a lot of guys that own the GT350, A lot of the guys that I know and I do business with, they all have Ferraris, McLarens, Porsches. You know, it's just another car in their collection, another toy for them. So they understand, you know, due to restoring cars and owning a lot of exotic cars, what things cost to get done. And they appreciate the craft, and that's it. But some of you guys out there, you know, you want it, but you might get sticker shock when you contact me. So reach out to me. Let me move this stuff off the bench, and I'm going to show you another additional clip to this video that I think is very important for you guys to see. So guys, I'm just going to show you a quick little bit of info on the material, but I just wanted to show you, these are the panels. You know, they're plastic. They have a texture. They're very, very slick. And, you know, it makes it even harder too when you wrap the material around. You have all of the honeycomb injected molded provisions to stop this panel from twisting. So just wanted to show that to you. So let me just get some material and throw it up on the workbench, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So what I have here, various materials, and I'm going to walk you through all of this stuff here. So here's some Alcantara, here's some vinyl. Okay, so first up on the chopping block, this is a regular upholstery grade vinyl, and I'm going to show you the stretch. Okay, you see my fingers? You see that? You can stretch the crap out of this. Upholstering stuff with this is a piece of cake. Now, let me show you. This is a piece of furniture grade mega high-end Italian leather. It's very smooth. This leather is $23 a square foot, and this is not meant to wrap panels. And let me see it stretches, and I'm pulling the hell out of this thing right now. It stretches in one direction, doesn't stretch in the other direction practically at all. This is thick. This is about a 9-ounce leather. And you can see the finish. This is super expensive. You only use this for chairs, sofas, and stuff like that. Here is another leather. I actually reskinned one of my complete Pro Touring Mustangs in this stuff. This is Italian leather, ultra soft, very thin, amazing to work with. I mean, look at the stretch of this stuff. You see that? So the only tricky thing with this is that if you overstretch it and you glue it down to a panel, you kind of screw up the grain texture. So you have limitations with this stuff, but I just wanted to show you this clip to show you the struggles it is when you're doing custom panels and stuff like this on cars, because doing a regular upholstery work with this stuff is a breeze. It's absolutely a breeze. So let's just push this to the side. And now here's the Alcantara. Okay, look at that. There's no stretch, none. So here's the actual Alcantara used on the center console. And it's got a stiff backing. I mean, look at this. I am putting all of my strength into this, and you guys could see, it just doesn't move. It is so hard to move. Now, with leather and vinyl, with leather, a trick is you could use water, spray it down, and give it a little more stretch. With vinyl, you could use a heat gun. You cannot use a heat gun on this stuff. You will singe it and burn it and set yourself on fire. So, food for thought. I just wanted to show you guys and give you a quick little lesson regarding upholstery materials and why doing the center console and doing all these panels, why it's so difficult, why it's so time consuming, and why it costs so damn much. And that's just what it is. And, you know, like I said, you go get any exotic car or a Porsche and you get the whole interior done, you know, custom, you're talking $30,000 to $60,000 just in interior options. And that's, you know, me going to the dealerships with clients and speccing out cars for all these years. I kind of know what things cost. You know, we used to wrap, you know, we used to split the leather down years ago, and we used to wrap the air conditioning vents and the knobs and the cigarette lighter and all crazy stuff. But you could order all of that, you know, through your dealer now, through the personalization program with Ferrari, McLaren, Lamborghini, and they're going to bang you over the head. So, but like I said, the guys that own those cars, they get it. They understand what things cost. It's like buying a custom suit, a handmade pair of shoes that are $3,000. You know, the runs the gamut when it comes to this stuff. So this is just a little bit of an intro and a little discussion on the materials used that I use for upholstery work. So, like I said, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your patience, for all the customers that sent these things up to me. You're going to be getting them soon. Randy, this is on its way down to Austin. Can't wait for you to get it. And like I said, now that I did the full bottom, I'm most likely going to rip mine out when I have the time and I have extra material to finish it as well. But I'll see you guys soon. autofanatic@yahoo.com. Hit me up if you guys need anything, and stay tuned for more cool stuff on this channel. See you later.